everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love. Something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything.
Good morning, Firmly Rooted family. Pastor Tom, Firmly Rooted Ministries. It's Wednesday morning. Good to have all of you on board. It is cold outside, low double digits. It's whew. When the wet. Kimberly always talks about it's no fun when the weather hurts, right? Yeah, it's not supposed to bite that hard. But at any rate, it is good to be with you. Great to have you on board. To you ladies out there, after I've done the men's devotion this morning, I want to encourage you to go take a look at it. I think there were some things that were said in that devotion that would be good for everybody. And so I just want to encourage you to go back and take a look at the Rooted Men's devotion as we were looking at the book of Philippians. Right now, we're looking at the Gospel of Mark, and we're still in chapter 1. Going to be finishing that up. But let's see who's on board besides me. Chuck B says, good morning, family. Ken Gooch, good morning. Dr. Colleen, good morning. Jody Glenn, good morning. And prayers continue. Trish, good morning. I'm out there on X. Vivian, good morning. Connie Sandbrink, firmly rooted Greendale. Good morning. Bert Reggiani, continued prayers over you, your family, especially Debbie and her family. Amanda, good morning. My cousin, Dave Donnelly, good morning. Karen Thompson, good morning. Man, great to have all of you on board. All right, let me pull up the text. Oh, did somebody else come on? Steve Giroux, good morning. Shane, good morning. Man, we got the whole town coming on. Woo! All right, great to have all of you. So we're pulling up Mark chapter 1, beginning at verse 40. Jesus heals a man with leprosy. Now, you all know that leprosy and the invention of leprosy colonies, the idea is that leprosy had no cure. There was no cure. And so if it got transmitted, you were going to die. I mean, leprosy was a death sentence. And so anyone with leprosy was kicked out of the town and had to live out in the spaces between towns out there. And oftentimes those groups would be mingled with people from different nationalities and different countries. Why? Because when you're the Walking Dead, you tend to not have too much dividing you, and at least you have people that can relate to what your illness is and what you have. And so a man with leprosy came to Jesus and begged him on his knees, if you are willing, you can make me clean. If you are willing, you can. Here we are in the first week, going into the second week of January 2025. What's possible for this year? We have a Bible that says God can do exceedingly beyond all that we can ask or imagine, according to the power that works in us. Do we believe that? Are we turning to a really big God who can speak and the earth melts, who can make things change and happen, who can do the impossible? There was no cure for leprosy. Zero chance of survival. Zero. Not 1%, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0. But this leper falls on his knees and says to Jesus, if you're willing, you can make me clean. I know that you are the only one who can change my situation. I know that I'm in a situation that cannot be changed by anyone and anything in this world. I'm going to die. But you could change all that. Jesus was indignant. What's he getting angry about, you say? And again, Mark is talking to Romans, right? And you see Jesus like doing these, just like a Roman soldier doing this and doing that. And immediately he does this and immediately he does that. And now he's with this leper and he's indignant. With who? The leper? No, you're right. Satan. He's indignant with the circumstances. He's indignant with a world that is not like he created it to be. He's indignant with a world that is upside down, where his children, his human beings that he's created, knit together in their mother's wombs, are inflicted with diseases and illnesses and death. And Jesus has come to set us free. He has come to redeem and to save us so that there might be a day where there's no more suffering and no more pain and no more sorrow and no more. He's indignant. He's angry, not at the man, at a world out there that has been corrupted by evil. I am willing, he said. be clean. And there's that word again, immediately. The leprosy left him and he was cleansed. Jesus sent him away at once with a strong warning. See that you do not tell this to anyone. Just go and show yourself to the priest and offer the sacrifices that Moses commanded for your cleansing as a testimony to them. Don't tell anyone. Why? Jesus still wants to be on the low. He still has so much ministry to do, so much teaching to do, so much training for his disciples. He doesn't want the wrong attention to come too quickly. He's just trying to control the situation. But instead, he went out and began to talk freely, spreading the news. As a result, Jesus could no longer enter a town openly, but stayed outside in lonely places, yet the people still came to him from everywhere. You say to yourself, well, why was the guy disobedient? Jesus asked him to do one thing: just don't tell anybody. Because Jesus is asking the impossible. How can I not tell somebody about a man, a rabbi that I met that touched me and made me clean, who spoke words over me and my leprosy went away? How can I not? It is welling up in me and it's exploding in me, and I have to tell somebody. A greater question for the 21st century church? Jesus has clearly told us to go out and tell, and we don't. Why isn't it welling up in us? Why isn't the healing that I got a month ago, a week ago? Why isn't the new job that I got? Why isn't the cancer that's gone? Why isn't the miracles that Jesus is performing in our lives? Why aren't they welling up inside of us to the point that we want to explode because we got to tell somebody? Because we have permission. Go and make disciples of all nations. Go and testify to the goodness of the Lord. You are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession. Listen, that you might proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. We are supposed to be declaring something. I've been talking to Aaron about this for weeks now. People have been healed at Firmly Rooted. Relationships have been healed at Firmly Rooted. People have had demons leave their bodies and leave stop their influence on their lives. Where's the I got to tell somebody? Where's the I got to go bring somebody back? I got to go bring that person and bring them to Firmly Rooted. I got to get the people praying over this person, and I got to bring. I don't have an answer to the question that I'm raising. I'm just raising a question that seemingly is apparent to me. In Mark chapter 1, Jesus is getting attention because people are spreading the word about what he's doing. They can't help it. They watched him heal a crippled person, and they go and find crippled people and bring them. They start bringing people to him at night. They start bringing people to him out. I got to bring, right? But I don't see that happening in the 21st century. I don't see someone saying, I got to bring somebody. I got to tell somebody. I got to. It's going to explode in me if I don't. And I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that question is, except it seems to be a natural response of people in Jesus's day. It certainly is a natural response anywhere in a society where there's a revival, where people are being saved, because somebody goes out and says, you got to come see this. You got to go meet this person. You got to come and pray. You got to come listen to this preacher. You got to come. Just a thought. This man was told not to tell the story, and he had to. It just blew up. We're told to tell the story, and we don't. I think it's time, 2025, that we do some self-assessment. What has God done in our lives, and who do I know that needs the same Jesus I have, who needs the same spiritual touch? How can I get that person to come see? Can I send them a devotion and just start to wet the whistle of when you just listen to this guy, just listen to these devotions. He prayed over me. We prayed, and demonic forces left. I get down to the point where, like, why not? What's the barrier? Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? The worst thing that could happen is the person has a bad experience, and so they're kind of stuck in the same place that they were. The likelihood that would happen is pretty low. Why? Because the spirit's involved. Just food for thought as I kind of get you into my head as I think about ministry and where Firmly Rooted is and where we seem to be going. And there's some things I think we have to look at and address in 2025, and we certainly will. But before we get into we're going to be going into the rest of Mark, I encourage you to go back and read this whole chapter, because we've just finished chapter 1. Go back and read it again and watch the natural responses of people who maybe aren't even believers in Jesus. They're just overwhelmed by what they saw, and they go tell people and bring people to Jesus. All right, let me leave it at that. Let me pull myself out of there. All right, I think we're good. All right, we'll be back at 9 o'clock for prayer. I hope that this devotion was a blessing to you. Have a great day. Make it a Firmly Rooted day, and may someone see Jesus in us today. Peace.